shit low. All right. We're live on YouTube. Everywhere else. Good morning. Guaranteed somebody's going to say something about my sleepy eyes here today. All right. What happened to the other TikTok account? I've just been staying on this one because it's been, I mean, the other one's still there. I just, becoming an influencer now. Damn. What's up, Christian? All right. Well, without any further delay here, let's go ahead and get started. Oh shit. There we go. Will you paint an 8 ball on Jay Diamond's head live? I'd be happy to. Yeah, I'd be happy to. I feel like that'd be a great opportunity for everybody.
I almost R-rated right there.
See, I know how to navigate these waters. You know what I mean? I'm a sailor.
I can't swim.
There we go. Stay on the boat. All right, incoming market dump this week, Robbie. I have I have shorts. Alex Potter, or Hey Potter, Alex was saying some BS about you screaming at kids. Screaming at kids. I think he's just trying
He
to
made
flip one.
himself.
Yeah, I think he's talking about himself. Yeah. Lawnmower, you sent me a DM. Hopefully it was me. Let's see. Seeing it. Oh, there we hold on. Which where? On TikTok? Oh, wait. Yeah, Alex or Ivy. Did you guys get Robert locked in, by the way? Robert 3488. I think the nice kid drop it up. Yeah, I saw the DM that you yeah, definitely the video that you sent me yesterday. Yeah, it didn't have any sound on it, but I got the drift. He's just making things up. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and for the live, just my Cash App or Venmo or whatever. It's at Potter Stocks. All right. So this morning, 24-hour time frame, we are at a new low. Now the open was on the floor, and since then we have dropped and lost that 680 on SPY. And so far it looks like we are going to open pretty close, if not on that 677, which is the floor, which does mean we are looking potentially below us on the higher time frame. So again, with nothing but the floor of 671 underneath us, it's important that I mark out some of these 24-hour bounce levels, going to the 4-hour time frame and translating those down. Obviously, this mark of the 676 area is going to be important, and shorting the floors is when a lot of fake outs will occur. So it's important that you have a really good entry, right? It does look like this morning it kind of wants to bounce. Last night I discussed on SPY that is the open price that has to fall so that we can go and get the gap fill, which is just 674. Of course, anything reclaiming and climbing back up, you know the deal. We're likely threatening a potential punchback, and there's a great play up there. So don't get stuck being one-sided. Be ready. And again, we're already kind of seeing that bounce here as we speak. There is on the lower time frame, empty space above that 678 up to 685.37. So the potential is there for sure. And something to watch for those of you who are trading SPY today. You've got a box right here on the 30-minute, small range, sorry. And that's where we'd be looking up into that 685. And yes, with that empty space up above you, it would be silly not to be looking at a potential move up into that area. But first, the top. All right. Pump on open, then puts all day. I mean, I'm okay with whatever. I just can't. I got to have a plan, better than just puts. All right, so SPY, we got that one. QQQ here this morning does have a gap. Uh, did not lose his floor overnight, so that is a must do here this morning. It did wick off of the same floor that we bounced off of many times, which inevitably leads us down to our next target, which is the same target that we had last time of 590, because that short we got, this retest we have, sound like fucking Yoda. And now it's obviously at a point where I'm looking for the break, right? And we do have a much more aggressive target this time around at 580.160. Obviously, a couple things need to happen before that occurs. On the lower time frame here this morning, yes, there is a gap inside of the range directly up above us. So a retest would obviously above 598, 599.88 or orb, its opening range breakout. That's where we could look for that reversal. So a little bit of time here to get that done. If by chance we do end up dumping down into that gap, I'll take that opportunity to get out of some of those 588s that I'm still hanging on to, and leave it at that. All right. I am doing the Qs right now. The Qs. I did see this channel here last night. It's already obviously broken. I'm not. But if it does get reclaimed, again, with the empty space up above us, I mean, this is going to make for a great play whenever we do see the market back up, whether that's today or in a month. All of these will be golden opportunities to take the market back into its highs. So digging the mini. All right, there we go. The fact that that guy finds time out of his day to comment on my scarf every day, I mean, I feel like I almost have control of you, You did listen. I would try a little bit harder than accusing me of being feminine. That doesn't really trigger me that much. I would try something related to my parents or, try harder. You got it, You got it though. All right, good luck. All right, so he said my Venmo. Get this guy out of here. Get him out of here. Hey, W triangle. Dummy. W triangle, my boy. Jorge, I sound super hip, right? When I say W. W's in the chat. All right. So QQQ hourly time frame, 30-minute time frame, same story applied. Yeah, so it would be over our orb or the gap fill. I'm super patient because I'm going to catch this bigger move, whether to punch back over and through into 611 or we're filling that gap down. So possible tomfoolery here. I'll be obviously narrating this because I'm watching the cues. So, all right, you're the fucking best, dude. Oh, thanks, appreciate that. Let's see here. Got yeah. If you guys want to start dropping your requests, go for it. IWM, which is obviously a fan favorite here. Again, small accounts. This should be one of the primary focuses. However, it is still in range, which could make this difficult today. And basically, whenever you see something opening up in range, your job just got harder and more intensive because you're going to have to be on a lower time frame to navigate this. But that being said, we do have that potential downtrend. We are still significantly underneath that 265, which we did retest on Friday, right? That was a huge level for IWM. We retested it. And so far this morning, we have not lost anything. So there is a lot of potential up and down that could happen. What I'd like to see, again, this morning, let's see here, 2 hour. If anything, you've got step one, which would be 263.75 reclaimed, but all in all, any sort of bullishness is over 265. I'm personally not participating in this one to the upside until we get that significant trigger. However, there is an opportunity to the downside if triggered. We have a punch down gap fill, but 257.37 and 255.65 target on that punch down. Bye, baby. Hold on a second. I gotta sit back with my daughter. Possible reversals to the upside. I'll take a look at it. All right. Thank you guys for tapping the screen here this morning. All right. So again, last thing, and I do want to point this out. We did have this downtrend that can also is well within the trend. So if we did that punched out, that would be great. But again, these are setups on IWM that I am patient. I do not try and front run until I see something is significantly being reclaimed, hourly candle close, dipping into the box. You can start to speculate, punch down, you can start to add. But obviously with that rejection overhead at 265, I'd like to see a follow through. All right. And again, IWM is one of the best, if not the best, small account ETF. So it's one of those things that's worth waiting on for that bit, because we know that it runs, right? And whether it's a move to the downside or if it's a move to the upside, especially, IWM is going to get it done. And a lot of times, half the time. So, all right, SPY, do we see 650 this week? I mean, that is a significant floor. This market is so bent over. It looks like this, right? Looks like that. Looks like every other time that we've grinded to the upside, without really seeing. Yeah, right here kind of has that same look where you start to see sell, 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 and then finally overpowers. And you've got so much of that same attribute here. And not to mention, I talked about this with the Qs, but the amount of overhead pressure that we're receiving and the amount of price, the amount of times that price has fallen underneath the levels, same levels that it meant to reclaim, or same levels that it actually broke out and struggled to hold, are the same levels that we're retesting and rejecting off of. So, I mean, I 650 is actually a pretty reasonable target. I think obviously 671 is first. I don't know about this week, but I do know that when you move into this 670 range, it's on. It's on, because at that point, that is one of the major sell levels, and most of the time when price has dropped into this level, it has fallen down all the way, and 650 would be the target, and a reasonable one. But 61 would also be another one. You would need a little bit of a longer expiration. How do I feel about IWM? I just need to be patient on this one, man. Do I think it's going to go up? It goes up over 265, and if anything, over these candle closes at 267.33. So for sure. But I don't move unless the 24-hour setup is clear. Is clear. Or I can see where that 24-hour setup would fire on a slightly lower time frame, 4 hour. So all right, so all three ETFs here this morning. We got those knocked out. Girl dad, all right, you earned my trust. I'll join the Discord. Yes, I am a girl dad and a boy dad. Both dads. I am a boy girl dad. Wait, hold on. All right.
And he's a bunch of misfits dads too.
Yeah, we got we don't have any Alex dads in here, but we do have some Alexes. That could be dads. Am I married? Very married. Yeah. Very. Look at that thing. Pete gets to show her ring off all the time. All right. If you have anything you would like for me to take a look at, go ahead and drop that request down now. Tesla. Now you guys have heard my my bear horn. I don't know if that's the right way to word it, but I am, yes, overall pretty bearish on Tesla. Now the time to act, I'm waiting, right? But one of the more important things to me was that when presented the opportunity on the weekly, right, to move into that structure, or the 24-hour, right, to move into this structure, we have both times been rejected. One of the levels that I really wanted to see whether we would lose again was this floor, again, over to your left at 415, but more importantly at 412.50, and we're sitting there, right? We are sitting right there. Now, more specifically, on the 4-hour, here. That's exactly where your pre-market low is at this morning. You absolutely do have a gap up to the upside, so there might be a retest up before you head down. You've got empty space on the hourly from here, basically right into cost basis at 429. So timing will be important, but it is 409.50, and I think at that point you would be targeting 406.22 and 401.18. Now, with the gap down, obviously, if you have the right expiration, this isn't just a day trading setup. If you have the right expiration, you could be looking for this entire, and I actually need to correct this. There it is. Wow. Okay. So that makes a whole hell of a lot more sense, because that's where you open up on cost basis and explode. So yes, 401.31 and 394.50 would be two areas that we would want to see price aggressively or encapsulating on an hourly 2-hour candle close for continuation to the downside. Otherwise, I mean, yes, we're right there at the trigger for for Tesla to continue moving to the downside. And like I said, for anybody who's wondering, if we do get that lower time frame break, I have a very clear no extra brain power needed 367.50 target to the downside. This weekly candle doesn't really put a pin in that, and it's still something that we could look at or shift our bias on. Obviously, if cost basis is broken, if the market flips over, we would be looking back up. But as of right now, it does look pretty bearish.
So down today?
You're not there yet.
Don't answer that for me, because I'm just being stupid.
Yeah, you don't do that. Um, do you swing trade or options call mate? Sean, I swing trade options, my boy. I swing trade target based, sometimes shorter expiration contracts. A lot of the times I'm swinging into empty space, or almost into a day trading opportunity, if you will. So I get confused about cost basis, because isn't it different for everybody? Not on my chart. Like, I think what you're saying is like your purchase or where you have been. I use cost basis. Again, we're all using words that we've borrowed from somebody else to define things that we see. Cost basis for me is basically where the majority of the volume is in a box, or where the 50% mark is in a box, and that's typically where the majority of the volume is concentrated, being a making it a pretty important. What's up with that profile pic? It's me, man. All right. Curious what I think about you and a reversal to the ooh. Uh-oh. Reversal to the upside. That seems like a death stroke right there. It's a little anime reference for you nerds. Yeah, you've lost some pretty damn important levels, Chief. So reversal right now, while could possibly come off of this floor at 1725, but I don't know if I would necessarily call it a reversal. Um, I can tell you this, when you do get, if you do get a bounce and reclaim, it would be back on 2285. And this box or this range isn't really filled with anything that's volume filled. It is pretty much empty space within it. So it would be relatively easy to move through when that time comes. Yeah, this shouldn't be a difficult stock. I would love to see a lot of accumulation before that rip, eventual rip. But yeah, right now, and let's see here, at the top of this box over here to your left. So this was an area and is an area 1825 that you could look for a potential bounce. The next trigger for sure would be 17 underneath it. So yeah. When do I sleep? Just like you, dude. See, I told you somebody's gonna say something about my eyes. Just the way I look, my guy. I mean, it is 8:30 in the morning, so
Doll's eyes.
yeah. Yeah, that's Fabio Rico Suave Potter. You heard him. That's what it is. Oh, nothing about my eyes. And every time I log in, you're on. Oh, damn. I mean, I'm out of all of the people on this app, dude. Probably on here the least. Um, yeah. I mean, I was live last night for about an hour and a half. I go live during the trading day, but I don't know. We just might have simple. We just might have simpler schedules, my guy. All right, where can I learn this shit? My YouTube channel is a great place to start, my guy. All right, Unity software. Can I go over the cues again? Sure. So right now, as we speak, 4-hour time frame, you've got this wick, right? You bounced off this floor. So there is a potential for a retest up. This would have to be reclaimed. You have a small gap at $660. I think the hourly trade, this is where you kind of have to pay attention to it as well. At this point, again, this isn't a traditional box, but it would be over 602.50 that would turn the tide to fill the empty space up to 605, which would open up the door for a 610 trade back up. And this is why this is a read and react scenario, because while we are very much underneath the floor and underneath pre-market lows, looking for a gap fill to 591.41 with a 50% mark of 593.20. So that is the targets to the downside. However, it is our pre-market low that would have to be broken in order for that to occur. So I need to see something. And a lot of the times, this is Tuesday, but a lot of the times, the first day of the week, if we do open up in range, I'm letting price work itself out. I'm waiting for my trigger. And this is one of the reasons why I'm able to navigate and hold on to my profits, because I'm actually I'm only taking trades when the higher time frame agrees. And maybe, again, with the lower time frame triggers, it's based off that higher time frame setup. So side window was better, would let us zoom in, see levels. What do you mean side window? You mean where you like turn your screen sideways? Hold on. Yeah, yeah, no. I don't have those same capabilities on this profile. All right. Microsoft. Yeah, let me know what direction you're actually trying to. Now, this is I mentioned this last week. This is a pretty interesting setup. And could be a pretty good setup going to the upside. Obviously, that would start with a reversal over 402.83. There is some lower time frame flack, but the empty space trade and potential here is yes, if you are able to punch back up above this box, and I might be actually, yeah, that's technically the low with two wicks off the exact same 398 price. Over 402, 405.75, and you have a pretty kick-ass play all the way up to 413. So what I'll do on this setup, and I do not trade Microsoft, but a clear setup is a clear fucking setup. I'm gonna set an alert at 402.35, because yes, this is something that could potentially go lower, but that would literally mean orb is broken down. So your breakdown level would be your pre-market lows. Your target would be 390, 380. This is extended hours, yes. So again, a lot of people want definitive, like this is going up. And a lot of the times I wake up in the morning and there is not a definitive direction, right? We could say, yes, we're going down, but we could also say that we are bouncing off of some levels that would need or offer a potential retest. And I don't need to be right in saying, well, yeah, there is maybe potential more continuation down. I need to have the right triggers in place so that I'm on the right side of the trade, because again, we can spot good opportunities to the upside up to 413. Those are, it's clear as day. Downside, not so much, right? Microsoft has been one of those ones that has led the market down. But yeah, I mean, this is actually a pretty good setup. You could write this one down. Which again, I hardly ever trade Microsoft, but setup is good. How much did you put in on this trade? I'll probably put about 1,800 bucks into a trade like this. Pretty simple, somewhere in that range. Try to take it, trim halfway at 410 would be the first trim target to secure profits. Um, I'm going right here. Yeah, 410, and then everything else would go to 413. Fucking crazy. All right. Veil up. Veil up. You're not worried about taking Microsoft in a bear market? I love taking bear market bounces. If that is a bounce, typically taking longer trades or more long-winded trades to the upside, yes. I'm not really a big fan of that karma trades. However, bull traps are pretty aggressive bounces, and they typically always go up and fill their empty space before rejecting and continuing down. So while you might need to be pretty precise and make sure that you're getting out of your contracts, no, I don't mind if the empty space is big enough and the 24-hour level has been hit. No. Um, but that's only if something triggers karma, right? Price would have to go into a place where sellers don't want it to go. And if that occurs, then with empty space and no resistance up above you, it's mechanical, right? And those type of mechanics happen and all the time in bull bear markets. I discussed this before. I discuss this all the time. If you go back and you look at any bear market, right, or anything like look at these bounces, you get a gap up, 2 days of rippage, retesting before continuing down. Um, you could go back to, I think we have yeah, right here. Um, Price falls, right, really, really, really quickly. With the same vigor, right? Look, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days basically flying from 440 all the way up to 478. So inside of a bearish market, even one that you have clear overhead levels like this, there still is opportunities to trade it. I mean, it's actually cool because if you look at this, nothing changes in terms of structure. You still pop up, retest that same level, fall, kill that empty space that you created on the upside before bouncing back up. But this is true in every bear market, even here, right? You get a nice, healthy channel down, right? Box, cost basis, right? A kind of rocky leg down, pop up, complete reversal, and then bam, right back up. So bear markets, right? Most people kind of expect things to just fucking waterfall. But even in a waterfall, look at this. Look, guys. Everything I'm teaching you has you could go back and back test me, right? Same concept. Fall fast, build box, hit major level, right? Retest. And those retests, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive days of rippage. And so it actually can be really profitable to trade the upside in a down, but you just have to know that you're not in a bull market until levels get reclaimed. So even for Microsoft, in its current area, which, mind you, it has also dropped hard all the way down into your empty space, tapping and filling it all the way into structure. You did get a bounce back up, right? To your point. But obviously, if there's a lower time frame opportunity and this is planning on staying in range, which could be a 395.50 bounce, but you would be, I mean, this would be pretty normal for you to stay inside of this box. And I would just be playing that move back up, which again, not my typical thing, but I do when I see a lower time frame day trading opportunity, I'll take it. It just has to be clear and perfect. So, what expiration? Option trader here. How many levels do you typically like to have? So it's not about what I like. It's about, I mean, what levels are in front of me. Um, the less is better, for sure, because I only take trades going into a lack of resistance. So every trade I take has a big fat dump or a big fat rip. In fact, this would have been the same reason that you would have taken this up. Same reason, empty space up, empty space down. And so, yeah, it's not a preference of levels. It's what's in front of me, and I'm looking for what has the least in front of me, or the path of least resistance is actually probably the best way to word that. So, did I finish that up? But anyway, back to what I was saying on Veil. And this one, you're saying Veil up. Now, I would argue your box, right? Because first of all, this can be quantified as a range potentially, but where's my floor? Where's my floor? I can't find it. And that's okay because I don't need to. If it's not clear, I don't do it. Now, 4 hour time frame, right? I might be able to find that floor, but I don't think so. Okay, I found it. So it looks like cost basis, or not cost basis, but the 50% mark of this range over here to your left, right, is exactly where price gravitates towards. However, with this disruption in price right here, it does throw that off quite a bit. Um, Now, if that was true, if this is a box, then technically 1650 was what you needed to be bouncing off of, and you were unable to do that. Now, because of this, the uncanny nature of the box itself that we're looking at, it's not our typical setup. You could look at $16 for a bounce because that is a gap below your lows here to this morning. But this is something that I would argue, right, that you had an opportunity to go up. You had an opportunity to bounce and go into your highs. You tried and you failed. And when you failed, you lost your top that you worked hard to hold, and now you're falling. So until 1650 was reclaimed significantly, I would have trouble being bullish on that one. I would take Microsoft for the end of the week. You know, if you choose to take it with a shorter expiration, um, that's up to you. But you need to make sure that you are in that empty space and you have that trigger. The shorter your expiration is, the better you better be taking it going in. You don't want to be dealing with a lot of resistance. You're buying calls if you think it's going up. I'm buying calls if not on this. This is not my kind of setup. I would not trade this. No, nothing against him or this setup. It's just not my setup. I I, I could see a drop to 1568. There is a shit ton of empty space down. So if you were looking at a much more aggressive leg down, but to me this is, yeah, not very clear. I mean, I could be, again, I gave you guys a level 1650, so if that gets reclaimed, that could shift. But yeah, that's not something I would be trading on. Oh, on Microsoft? Uh if it triggers. So it's not, again, even if I feel or think it's a trigger. It's 402.44. I can start looking. 405.61. I can start buying. So, all right, 2 seconds. Hold on 1 second. Tap your screen if you're on TikTok. Just an FYI, I do have to go to my daughter's school at 10:30 this morning. That's about it. All right, cool. Um, Thanks, Adam. All right, what else are we looking at? Apple doesn't look too bad if it builds. if it builds. See, that does look like something that could definitely continue to the downside and see that 250.50. Um, and if you look at this, it almost feels like a retest. So it might be better off bouncing at 250.80. Your pre-market low is the low, right? So losing that would, yeah, imply 252 and 250.50, 250.60. So if you build, they will come. That is also, yeah. Now to, again, if what happens here ends up not being a retest, uh 261. So just listen, guys, especially if you're new. A lot of what I'm seeing here this morning, and this doesn't define everything, a lot of what I'm seeing this morning needs to do something in order to see something. So it's a read and react type of day. I narrate or I label certain days like that so that already the pretense is I'm waiting for something significant. And even whatever uh, conception I'm bringing into the market is solely based off of what is above and what is below and what triggers those hold and what is beyond that resistance. Is there empty space? Is it clear? um I am still, yes, holding QQQ shorts, so that is something that is of interest of me, or of interest is playing back up to the upside. So I'm on the ball when it comes to that, but that's where I'm in that situation where I'm trying to look to the upside for what can't happen, because if I need to take this up, I will. All right, KDP. All right, so far this morning, still building. Like I said, there could still be a retest a little bit further down around the 29.31 area. You have a gap now here this morning, so honestly, not a bad way to start. Um, I think 2 hour, right? Yeah, 2 hour range was established right here. So we just need, again, because of this being a higher time frame here, I'm trying to stick with the highest time frames. 2 hour candle close, $30 is basically what we're looking for here, and that's true on the 4. And pretty much the only time frame that is not is the 24 hour, or the hourly, excuse me. But taking over $30 would still be, price wise, a good area to take that trade. So just waiting. KDP looks really good. It does have empty space underneath it, meaning that if it cannot hold, listen, folks, if it cannot hold and it loses 29.40 and you're still in, why? Get out, get back in. Especially if your expiration, if you're just trading this and you don't give a shit because it's well within your risk and you're good to go, cool, do your thing. But whatever. That's obviously um yeah, that's right. Yeah. But this is a setup that's in range, so you have that capability. All right, so AMD to the upside. All right, lots of upside here this morning. I think right now, man, 200 is going to be your best bet. That is the first structure, little range that you have. That is a range, not a box. Now to the upside, this is where my life is so easy. I mean, straight up, I do not sit and wonder. I do not sit and I'm not ever frustrated. There's no like, oh, will the mark? It's, first of all, let's see if this channel is applicable. So there's clearly something in here. We'll leave it like that. So AMD going to the upside. How does this start? Right? It starts by getting out of the area that you're trapped underneath, which is 204.65. Second is going to be 205.61. Third will be the gap fill back up to the upside at 206.90. Now, if you're looking for anything more than that, it's that box. That's why this is so easy, because if this is the area that is defending price going back up, then that is what needs to break to go back up, or to break back up to the upside. The same level that you had to break before at 210 or 209.25 is the same level you would have to break today. But I will say, if you look at the 24-hour, we're getting pretty close, and there is a golden opportunity there, but it has to be when that trigger fires. Eli James Maxey, why did you wake up this morning and choose to be a complete bad person? Yeah, if anybody in here comments faith to receive $7,000 and thinks that's fucking real, I'd just go ahead and pack it up. That's redonkulous. All right. Yo, who keeps pausing my music? Why are you doing this to me? Ain't no. All right. What else do we got? It is 9 o'clock. Shut up, yo, Jay. What if though? Do you have a rule on volume average for a stock, meaning over 1 million? Yeah, it needs to have a average, volume. Yeah, the lower the volume, overall trading volume on it, not volume bars that you see at the bottom of your charts that people have. I don't ever use those. Every time I ask somebody to explain why they use that, it's really not a very, I've never really gotten a great breakdown on why people use that volume. It is, I mean, irrelevant, really. To me, it is irrelevant. You can see high spikes of volume on flat days where buyers and sellers fucking go at it and price doesn't move. And what does that tell me? That we're in a box? Cool, great, got it. There's big volume on a breakout today? Okay. What's that have to do with anything? Does it reclaim anything on the floor above? I've seen volume sky high and not grab anything and pull back the next day. And then, again, I'd want to let you guys know I used volume for over 2 years and never found any sort of usefulness in it. And keeping everything simple is a big thing for me. So, all right, SATS down. You're pretty close to making that happen. However, and this is a pretty illiquid boy, but there is empty space underneath you. I mean, that much is clear. It looks like there's a channel here, possibly. Again, I'll take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, I mean, you're looking for a breakdown underneath 101.32. That's a pretty great, I mean, that could be a great short for sure. I don't know what this is, and it's very aggressive to the upside. But if that came to an end, you have filled up all of your empty space to the upside. You're consolidating in between what keeps you up or keeps you down and what could take you back up. So you're in a read and react scenario as well. Discord, anything from you guys? This is the earnings for this week. Yeah, pretty okay. Helica Mining, ET, Metatronic, Pan W, CDNS. These are all this morning. So Toll Brothers, Devon Energy, EQT. We could take a look at some of these a little bit later.
Hey, Potter, I missed your analysis. SPY still has room. I mean, QQQ still has room all the way down to like 591, doesn't it?
You said 591?
Yeah.
I have this time around, I'm looking to try to hold contracts into the 581 area. But yes, 590 is one of the first and most logical targets that we have underneath us for sure.
That
And a
makes
gap
sense.
fill. It's actually a gap fill. We're bouncing off of that same level that we gapped up above and shot off of. So this is obviously an area that we're trying to pay attention to see whether any sort of reversals back up into that empty space could occur. And also, this could keep cues from keep making a lower high or a lower low, excuse me. Elliott wave, Fibonacci. No, none of that. I don't use Fibonacci. Yeah, yeah, no Fibonacci for me. The only time I use Fibonacci is when I'm at all-time highs because I have no structure, which I usually am not trading. And the only thing I've ever taken out of wave theory is the 1, 2, 3 waves. Other than that, um, 3 is the magic number, and that's really all I. Anything past that describes high tension and a high probability of breaking. So, how do I feel about PLTR today? Uh, so first off, all I can really say about this one is you are inside of this range. I mean, period, end of story. You're on the floor at 127.72. If that could be lost, that would be step one. But I mean, this could be a candidate for something for this to stay in range. The only benefit I see here is that if you are short, you did tap that 133.63. If that is reclaimed, because that is again the range in the 50% mark of this box or of this range itself, that's your trigger to the upside, and that translates pretty well to the downside. The only difference being is that well, no, actually, it is 137.23 that this trade could take off, and I mean, there is actually ample opportunity to take this one up big. But the question here this morning is that going to happen? And that question can be answered by obviously responding to these levels here. So, am I Jewish? I am not Jewish. I am not of a religion. That is
Can you
the
check out
difference.
Amazon, Coach?
Amazon, yeah.
I know I keep asking about this one, but the consolidation at the bottom, I know there's empty space is kind of choppy when you get to the lower time frame, but
No, I mean, it looks good. That's a good bounce here this morning. Obviously, follow through. Where did we break? Where did we break at? 30-minute time frame. It's not bad aside. I mean, you got empty space to the upside. You got a first target of this green candle here at 202.50. Runners up to 204. Um, hmm. So it looks like it was here at basically 200, right? Almost flat.
I got a 257.
15-minute is 200. The only thing in your way is this little
Yeah.
bastard, and that is 267. First 201.75, 202.50, and then that's where this could really take off. Not bad. Yeah, if it does. All right, it is 9:10. So those of you guys on TikTok and YouTube, we got 20 minutes. You have 215 calls for Amazon. Yeah, anything underneath 197.68, obviously you're running the danger of seeing a reversal, and especially off of a major rejection of 200. So my Christian, I I have I don't know. I'm one of those people who doesn't know. I don't know. Don't know.
Hey Potter,
Yo, what's up?
would you check out TEVA?
T
V is in
E E
Victor.
A.
Yeah, TEVA. TEVA.
Oh, VA. Oh, gotcha. I'm a bad goyim. Yeah, you are.
No way someone said that. Uh,
Well, I'll give you this. That's pretty interesting. Let's look at the weekly. What's the weekly doing? What are you up to? Overhead resistance right here. Do I pay attention to the news or buzz on stocks or just market signals on the charts? I front run those things. Just kind of a famous example is like we took KSS, and I had no knowledge of any sort of rumors or anything. I mean, anybody in here could tell you that. And I wasn't it the night of, I think it was a night after the bell rang, we took the trade, and somebody mentioned to me that people were talking about it on Reddit and that it was like starting to pick up traction on Reddit. I woke up to like 16 alerts and a bunch of people tagging me, and that shit ripped way past. And so it's like, and honestly, it never gave anybody another opportunity for like another month to catch any sort of move like that again. um and so I have found in my experience that the chart sets up the news, or the news that institutions and people with that have important money have access to. And so if I see that opportunity, a lot of the times I'll just take that trade because it looks good and the news comes out. And this isn't always true. I mean, there's been, some setups that, just mechanically take off or they get no news at all. And that lack of catalyst is actually something that could, is not great. I want a catalyst. But I have found through experience that if I just look for setups that have heavy consolidation, they're institutionally owned with empty space up above them. Those are setups that I have consistently found that those catalysts help me travel through that empty space with ease. Um, it's not a bad thing to know what's going on or to have news. I mean, I know a lot of you guys do, but I don't I don't, Kramer doesn't say buy eBay and then I go look at it. Like that's not ever going to happen, or um we get news that AMD is like, if it hasn't already ripped, like it's probably going to pull some tomfoolery, and I would be looking at the chart first anyway. So all right. Do the opposite of what Kramer says. I called into Kramer one time actually to ask him about eBay. I was just trying to catch some screen time. I mean, I didn't really care about what he thought. I just wanted to. I think we had talked about it in the Discord too. I was like, I just want to see what he would do, or what he would say, or if I could even get on. And yeah, I thought I was deeply insulted because I thought that in this clip, I asked him about eBay, and then he goes, if my analyst likes it and you like it, Garrett in Oregon, uh, he's like, I think you got horses. But I thought he said, I think you got poor sense, because he said it so weird. And so at first I was deeply offended. I was like, Jesus Christ. Brother said no, and then it did. It fell for like about 8 months after I called, and then went and ripped. So it's pretty funny.
Hey, can you take a look at silver when you get a chance? SLV.
What you looking at here? Bounce it, or you're on a floor right now. So
Taking it down.
taking it down. Okay. Okay, so a little bounce right here. Obviously over 68. We would be looking at structure at 69.50 to be hit. What have you bounced off of? If you bounced off of this wick. And that's one of the tough things about trading silver right now is I mean, this is all loosey goosey. You know what I mean? Like there you got boxes, but a lot of them are kind of floating islands out there. So, I mean, first step is, obviously we didn't really want to see any sort of reclaim of that, and that's where what we're fighting to reclaim now. So if you can draw that candle down, at the bell. But otherwise, I mean, this could be a candidate over 67, 65 to go and break that 68.27. So you would need to re-lose or fail and lose this floor again, and that would actually be a better signal for continuation of the downside. So, what are my top 3 to get into this morning? Microsoft is one that I'm watching today. Netflix, which somebody just asked me about. I am watching Netflix. However, I think it's already done everything it's going to do. That right there, it honestly probably not good for anybody who is bullish, and it is within this channel. But this is the script we talked about wanting or needing consolidation. Damn, are one of you guys outside of my house right now? Who is standing in my front yard holding their phone up to their face, looking at my house?
Dun dun dun.
My bad, dude. I'll turn around.
Yeah, can you get him? Hold on, I'm gonna stare at him for a second.
Making him nervous, bro.
Don't. I can't perform your stare.
I'm gonna stare at you. Hey, while you're walking past, I think there's trash in my yard.
That's it. I'm out of here.
Get the scrap. I got a under the desk scrap holder, baby. .357 Winchester Magnum. I'll get you 2 houses down. All right. PayPal, actually, this is another one that I did have on the radar. It's not a big trade or like a 24-hour extended swing trade, but dude, it does have a decent little break today over 40.50. Yes, I do have PayPal on the watch list. I have some alerts set on that one. But over 40.50, we're looking for a first target basically up at the $41 area, but ultimately this one would have a 41.28 and 41.37 target directly up ahead, which is confluential with the channel that is traveling in. There you go. No, I have my windows are open with, so like there's like a couple of older ladies that walk past because I live in there's like retired people here, um, which my neighbors are retired, and I remember moving in and that dude looked at me like I was about to ruin his fucking neighborhood. It was hilarious. I was like, damn, dude.
Little did he know you stay inside more than him.
I stay inside more than him, and that's the craziest thing is like my neighbor. One of my neighbors I talked to a little bit more, and he was like, yeah, man, for the first couple months, he was like, we just saw like grocery orders and DoorDash. He's like, we weren't quite sure what you do in there. I was like, yeah. I was like, I do a lot of work on my computer. I was like, that's about it. Just notice the Nelly Band-Aid. That's tough. Yeah, I wish it was because I just wanted to be cool. It is not aesthetic. I will say that. Cisco 78 calls. Did I go over this? Oh, I don't think I did. 24-hour time frame. Ooh, okay, so that's interesting little setup right there. So you had a box right here. You failed to punch down through it. You do have empty space up above you. And again, this is more of a bearish setup to me. And there is a target underneath you at 71.80. However, I really can't give you anything other than 77.69 or 77.80 here this morning. That is going to be a pivotal area to reclaim. The top of that box is the bottom of yours now. So if this, then that, and that's 78.74. You're the best to do this. I've watched so many live stream people just talk about nothing, but you legit. Oh, damn, dude. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'm going to deposit that in the compliment bank. Clip that. All right, let's see here. Hymns to the upside. Thank you. I appreciate it, though, for real. Let's see here. Hymns. I mean, you might be looking at like a dead cat at some point, right? Sorry if there's any cat ladies out there. My bad. Let's see here. I am also a cat lady. I have 4 cats. 2-hour time frame. Okay, so now we can kind of make a plan of this. That is going to be the central node, the centroid of the mechanism. Typically in these areas with a wide fluctuation in price, I'm eyeballing some sense of trend. So I would say confidently that it is Hims over the wicks at 1687 that can get the ball rolling for a push over 1711, and it would be a break over 1750 that'll set that trade free. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad setup. It just needs a little bit of juice, but 1850 would be the solid target underneath you, empty space up to that on the 2 hours. So good morning. What are three tickers? What three tickers? Netflix, which I'm honestly taking that one off. Microsoft, PayPal, Microsoft, PayPal, and then I am watching, the queues heavily, and managing. Again, I still have about $3,000, to the downside left on the table. So I'm if what I'm thinking happens, within the next couple of days, I could be looking at a $6,000-7,000 position, with these runners. But right now we're potentially triggering some bounce levels. Man, if we lose this 595.11 cost, 593.27, and then the gap fill, juicy. Why is
I know you
Netflix
didn't know
taking
it.
off?
Sorry.
Well, no, go ahead. What's up, man?
ALGM. I'm looking to the upside. It's kind of retesting a breakout. On the 24-hour, I've got a box that is testing cost basis on.
So this is a weekly level that you had to secure before, and with the empty space kind of fluidly moving through it on both sides. What did I just get an alert on? What the fuck? When did I start getting eToro fucking emails? Huh. Walmart earnings on deck, Pepsi breakout, WD back in play. Oh my god, dude. Yo, you know what's crazy is there's people whose job it is for eToro to chart. And I'm looking at this person's chart. Damn. Anyway. So for this one, I think it's imperative that you are grabbing hold of $43. How that translates pretty well here on the 24-hour with range building up around it. You've got the 2-hour here, and it does appear that there is, that's yucky. So I would say right now, let's get a candle close above $43 to go shoot that 43.77 again. And at that point, you can start aiming for that 45.75, or if is that correct? Yeah, that would be the next. It is mostly empty space up above you, so it's not out of the question to aim for 48. So yeah, Hood is actually another one that looks pretty good too. Yeah, we got a 5-minute. Is this the infamous Potter stocks? By the way that you're spamming, I think you've already been in here talking about the Kafia. But anyway, STM. I am not Potter stocks. This is Goy Slap Trading 3000, baby. All right, 33.44, any sort of bullishness to the upside would be triggered above 33.44. Are you looking at this one to the downside? Grabbing anything? I'm watching PayPal and Microsoft. Hood also looked kind of good. Actually, you know what? Fucking Coin looked kind of good over Friday's high of 168.75. that actually has a pretty killer setup. I'm going to set an alert on that one right now. But if that one does trigger, I might take that one. It's very, very simple. Obviously, there's empty space underneath you. So, but yeah, that one up to 178 and 185.75. Thanks for the follow, man. I appreciate that. Do you think SPY is going to be good for puts? I think that possibility could, yes, open up today. A couple of things have to happen. We are sitting on the 24-hour 677.44 floor. That must break. We do have empty space back up. And so if this bounce can and yes, does lose its pre-market lows and 678.87, we have a gap fill and a target underneath this at 671. You know, 673.80 has been a big level, but yeah, 672 actually, not 671, sorry, would be one of the first targets underneath you. One of the things that I'm watching for today, and this happens quite a bit in bear markets, is there is a potential here to shoot through 620, 682.75 and retest back up here. Now, empty space does not have to get filled, but as you can see in this area, it has been. Right? You make that empty space, you go back up, you fill it to the T, and then you stop. And so this is one of those areas where obviously if we did see a reversal back up, I would expect boxes right in here. So 6-7. Puts or calls, market open. Luke, I would listen, dude. I would just go sports bet. Don't do that. I can't. If listen? You really gonna make a decision based off of me just saying calls or puts? If I just say yeah, take calls, like what are you gonna do with that information? Learn this strategy, man, and then you can understand why we're looking for what we're looking for. Yeah, if we get faded this morning, I mean, if this candle can fade and you lose your pre-market lows, and remember this, all right. The first impulsive move is typically reversed on. So a lot of people get a lot of anxiety at the bell. Take a deep breath. Relax. The bigger triggers are above us. So. All right, guys. So we're taking calls. All right, it is 9:28. TikTok and YouTube. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll be live at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. These setups that have gone over are pretty straightforward. Looking over that 4055 on PayPal. Microsoft is much farther away and not looking as great. But I will see you guys at the bell, or excuse me, at 2:30 as we look for some swing trades. You guys stay safe. Take a deep breath and relax. If it's not simple, if it's not clear, you probably shouldn't take it. All right, peace.